What a weekend of college football. Week 5 was built up as the weekend you did not want to miss, and it did not let us down. Oregon ruins the whiteout. Daddy Bama is back. Illinois had a nice bounce back W while IU almost got caught napping. And to top it all off, we got started off with a fantastic set of Friday night games this week. Stay tuned for later in the episode when we give you our Week 6 top 12 rankings, which is sure to not make anybody upset at all. This is Always Talking Ball. Tyler Nohe, Lance Barton. Real quick before we get started, as always, make sure you like and subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And make sure you are following us on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Always Talking Ball. Weekly recap episode is brought to you by Ross Buddy. Vols got a nice win yesterday on the road in Stark Vegas. We took the Bulldogs, or at least I did, on the spread there, plus 10.5, and they covered in overtime. So frostbuddy.com/ATB is the place to go. I got all kinds of can coolers, 12-in-1 can cooler. It keeps your cans cool for 12 hours. They got Alabama. They've got all these schools we're going to talk about. It's great for a little tailgating session if you're going to a game this fall. So frostbuddy.com/ATB. All right, let's kick it off with the whiteout. Oregon goes into Penn State and really just dominates the game, honestly. I mean, and except for a couple drives in the fourth quarter, they dominated the game, which to us here, we picked Penn State to win this game. You made it a best bet. I said I could not make it a best bet because I just could not do that with James Franklin and Drew Aller one more time. And I'm glad I didn't bet on it, but golly, man, like we both picked them to win the game, and here they are, man. They're just letting us down again. James Franklin's now 4-21 against top 10 opponents, and Drew Aller's just not it.
No,
I mean, he can't do it against good competition. It's just honest. I mean, all the other game aside, the decision to throw that ball into triple coverage on first down in overtime was just stupid. I mean, it was just a stupid decision. And it goes back to the Orange Bowl last year when he decided to throw that ball and it got picked off by Christian Gray and they lost on a last second field goal. It was just not smart decision. So it's amazing. I know you put out something, talking about Drew Aller and Bill Pribula and which quarterback you'd rather have. It's on our social medias. It's amazing the amount of people out there who are all of a sudden like just now saying this is like a lot of it's Andy Kotelnicki's fault. Like the play calling is atrocious. Like Penn State's got all the talent in the world on the lines, in the backfield, but they can't run the ball apparently. They just don't have a quarterback, honestly. And like I told you last night, it's crazy how much it's like Andy Kotelnicki really can't call an offense without Tyler Warren there.
Yeah, it's far as Andy Kotelnicki is concerned, the amount of success he had everywhere he was at before he got to Penn State. I mean, you can just go look at it, look at all the numbers. I think it's more Drew Aller, man. I just do. And I mean, dude, he was honestly embarrassingly bad through the first three quarters. Like you alluded to, those last two drives there in the fourth quarter, just out of nowhere, the Penn State offense just starts lighting it up and becoming explosive. And Aller makes one of the most beautiful throws you're going to see in the back of the end zone on that touchdown throw that he made there in the fourth quarter. But almost all of his production came on those first two drives there in the fourth quarter. Dude, I've got some numbers here that I looked at because like those first three quarters, like I saw people tweeting about it too, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm just like, I mean, man, what is Penn State doing as far as like overall offensive from the production standpoint? The first three quarters, Penn State had 38 plays for 104 total yards, which is only 2.7 yards per play. Oregon had 52 plays for 255 yards in the first three quarters for 5 yards per play. That just tells you, like you said, I mean, they doubled them up in yards per play. Dante Moore was 29 of 39, 3 touches, 0 picks, and Oregon had 0 turnovers in a freaking Penn State whiteout game at night in Happy Valley with a younger, inexperienced team, and you would have never known it during that game.
It came down to they had the better quarterback on the field by far.
Absolutely. Better quarterback. They ran the football better. Again, I was just flat out wrong. I'm the one that came on here and said I'm taking a Penn State best bet. I said Penn State would control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, none of which happened. And Oregon controlled the line of scrimmage for the most part. Oregon held their own from the line of scrimmage. Even there in that fourth quarter when Penn State started making their run and in overtime, when you really think about it, Penn State scored those 2 touchdowns there in the fourth quarter to tie it. Then they start overtime and go straight down the field there and score. And that place is out of body. Like it is about as a ratcheted up atmosphere as you could play in that this sport has to offer during that moment. And Oregon just scores like it's nothing. Like it didn't phase him at all, bro. And that's very impressive. That is a major tip of the cap to the Oregon Ducks. I mean, again, just because you pick, I know how people work. When you pick somebody to beat somebody, that just means you think the other team sucks and you think their mother is a terrible person and you hate them personally too. No, I just thought Penn State was going to win the game. It's just a game pick, guys, and a prediction. And
I mean,
I was wrong. And I admitted I was wrong. I have a ton of respect for Dan Lanning, and
oh
I
yeah.
praise Dan Lanning all the time on this podcast. I have even more respect for the Oregon Ducks and Dan Lanning for the way they won that football game, going on the road and getting a win like that. Again, with a younger, inexperienced, extremely talented football team in an environment like that, and that's just good as it gets, dude. That's as good as it gets at the college football level.
Well, I texted you last night too, and I said I'm low key very impressed that Oregon is proving that they can win like a slugfest.
Yeah,
Because like Oregon is just seen as this program with the uniforms, the high flyers, like the fast screen passes, and like the Chip Kelly days and all that stuff. And yeah, they win games 32-31 against Ohio State. They win 45-37 in the Big Ten championship game last year. But like to go into Happy Valley to have it be 17-17 going into overtime,
yep,
is just a testament to just the culture that Lanning is building there, like the toughness.
yep.
Like he's won a lot of big games so far. He's also lost a lot of big games, but like he's just like ingraining in that culture, like some toughness, like go on the road in that atmosphere. And like I think the best win of the college football season by far, in my opinion.
It's definitely up there. It's up there. It would be one of 2 or 3 of the best of the season so far. It's even more impressive too, man. Like again, Penn State's running game with those 2 backs and the offensive line that they brought back. You think about the Big Ten championship game that you just alluded to last year. I mean, Penn State ran all over them in that Big Ten title game. Oregon just completely flipped the script and stuffed the run pretty much the entire game there. Again, until the fourth quarter for the first 3 quarters. Just remarkable. And I want to highlight too the playmakers there for Oregon. I mean, we talked a little bit about him. De'Aaron Hill Jr. did have 10 carries for 82 yards. Just explosive, man. DeCorian Moore is that next true freshman. We said before the season, could he be the next true freshman big-time wide receiver to make plays and to make a huge difference for a championship caliber type team that we saw like last year with other, true freshman wide receivers? Nah, he's not. It's not, can he be? He is that. He's legit. He's the real deal. I mean, he pretty much is their best receiver at this point as a true freshman. So, got to ask the question, man. I mean, I put the question on, like you alluded to, Instagram and X and all that about Bo Perbula and Drew Aller. I want to first say this. Like, obviously, I don't think Penn State would ever make that decision. When you're sitting there just coming off the Big Ten championship game, you're about to play in the college football playoffs. Like, you're not going to like kick your quarterback to the curb and go to the backup or anything like that. So I'm not blaming Penn State. My point is if you were a Penn State fan, what you've got to be thinking after watching Drew Aller put up that type of performance again against a really good team, and stop with the arguments, guys, of the, well, what would so-and-so do against a good team? We're talking about, again, I'm going to say this for the 1,000th time. We're talking about a team in Penn State here that we're competing for a national championship. That's what Penn State fans expect going into this year. That's what all of college football fans expect. That's what everybody that ranked them in the freaking preseason, number 1 in the country and all of that, talked about. So quit with the argument that, well, I mean, how does these other people perform against these best teams in the country? That's when it matters the most, when you're talking about freaking competing for a national championship. So Drew Aller and Penn State need to perform better against the best competition. So when I put that on social media today, of course, the first comment on there, well, what would Bo Perbula do and Mizzou do against Oregon? If that's what you want to lean on for your excuse as a Penn State fan, you go right ahead. That's why you'll continue to lose to every good team out there. You should expect more out of your quarterback. You should expect more out of your head coach, and you should expect more out of this Penn State team. I know if I was a fan, I would of that team. So, but to answer the question, like, yeah, obviously the answer right now looks like, the answer is Bo Perbula at the moment. But just, I can't imagine, though, being a Penn State fan and watching what Perbula's doing somewhere else. And with the fact that, honestly, because of his legs, he is a better fit. He's a better fit for the Andy Kotelnicki offense. So I don't know where you go from here. I mean, obviously, the only thing Penn State can do is just go now whip up on some of the whipping boys that they've got in their schedule. They got Indiana coming to town, coming to Happy Valley at some point this year, and they have to go to Ohio State. So I'm going to ask you, Tyler, do you think right now, as we sit here today, we looked at, everybody acted like that Penn State had a 2-game schedule. I disagree. Do you think that Penn State can just look Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers in the eye right now and just act like that's a W?
No, no, I
Agreed.
don't. I mean, and if they get that win or they beat Ohio, I mean, just the fact that this team, again, I'm gonna start saying it now on September 28th. The fact that this team could sneak into the playoffs at 10-2 over some people, that's gonna piss a lot of people off with the schedule they played so far. Like, I mean, again, we're gonna talk about the AP poll here in a little bit, but AP poll still has them ranked 7th, which is ridiculous. I'm not sure what Penn State has showed you so far this year to even like think they belong in the top 20, top 25 even. Like,
Yeah,
what have they done?
absolutely. Absolutely. They
They haven't done anything.
Yeah, they played some of the worst teams you could possibly play before. They played against Oregon. And again, I know this game went to overtime and all that, but like that score was not indicative of how that
No,
game went.
no.
Uh,
But Oregon dominated them. Everything was set up
yep.
perfectly for Penn State in their favor. And to throw up an absolute stinker like that, to have 3 points with like 10 minutes to go in the game at home, like there were Fire Franklin chants
Mhm.
reverberating all around Beaver Stadium. And of course, when they did that, they went on a 14-point run within a couple minutes and tied the game. But Oregon set up really nicely right now. Obviously, barring a major hiccup, they should be really set up for the college football playoff. They do get a bye week, then they get Indiana coming in there. So Indiana's got a couple of tough road games.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough one for Indiana to go up to Eugene and get the W there. But after that, I mean, end of the year they go to Washington for the border war. Like Oregon, barring a major hiccup, should be in the college football playoff again. Penn State, they've got to win. Man, I know they're going to get the favor because they're still ranked number 7th in the AP poll. So if they lose to Ohio State by 7 again, like they always do, everyone's going to be like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, it's just, I honestly, man, like, to be honest with you, I can't stand watching this team. Like, I can't stand watching this team. And the cakewalk they got last year to the semifinals, I think fooled everybody. It's just, it's got to, I can't stand watching them to be a Penn State fan. I know our boy Matt Massaro is probably going to hit us up about this. Like, and he probably agrees though. Like right now, he can't stand watching them either. Like I'm sure Penn State fans feel that way. And like, I don't know what you do with James Franklin. If you say lose to Indiana and Ohio State, you go 9-3 with this team and this hype. Like, I don't know where you go from there, honestly. Like, is it going to be a case where it's like Dabo, like he's going to be refusing to leave? Like, or is it going to be a case where Franklin decides like, I'm going to go somewhere else, like a John Calipari situation? I don't know what you do, man. It could get really hairy there in Happy Valley.
I don't disagree, man. Last thing I'm going to say on this before we move on, and we're going to talk way more about this if this ends up coming into fruition. But everybody last year that was just pounding the table that Indiana didn't deserve to be in because of their schedule and non-conference schedule and who they'd beat, who you beat, and SMU, the same thing. If Penn State goes 10-2, you better keep that same energy. All of you better keep that same energy with Penn State in that scenario.
Yeah.
Because that's you're spot on. But like we'll save that, we'll table that for later discussion if that comes into fruition later on in the year.
While back, we did our conference predictions, and I put it out there, man. I put it out there in the SEC conference predictions. My predictions, I had Alabama going to the conference championship game, and I said at that time they were going to go in to out to Georgia, and I believe that the words I use, Daddy Bama is going to be back, and that's what it was last night, man. Alabama gets 24-21 victory in Athens. They break that 33 game winning streak because Georgia finally played someone at home.
Out.
Dude, this was just like, for the first half at least, like domination by Alabama, and in part because Georgia's defense could not get them off the field. I mean, they ran like 40. They ran like 43 plays.
Yeah, Bama was 13 for 19 on third down, bro.
Well, and they ran 43 plays in the first half alone.
Yep.
Two separate 14-play drives.
Yep.
Going up 24-14 at halftime, you think like, okay, like this game's not over. It wasn't over, but like you're going to be some fireworks in the second half. And like, to all you people, I can't remember what the total was, but like there was only 7 total points scored in the second half. And if you took the over there, you were probably a little ticked off. But you shut Alabama out in the second half, and you still can't beat them. Like, Alabama deserved that win. I'm kind of like, just watching the game, like especially in the second, I'm kind of shocked they won. Like,
oh yeah,
like Georgia's got to be kicking themselves. Like, third down conversions, like you mentioned, won the game. Like, that was a deciding factor. If you want a padlock stat, right, Josh Pate, that's the padlock stat. Third down conversions for Alabama, 13 for 19, and for Georgia, 2 for 8. Couldn't extend drives. And then, I mean, we'll talk about it. The fourth down call down in the red zone when it's 24-21. I know I've already had, our boy disagree with me, but in my opinion, like 100% of the time, you're shutting out Alabama in the second half. 100% of the time, I'm kicking the field goal. And if I'm not, I do not get the Cash Jones love. Mike Bobo just must love Cash Jones. I know Nate Frazier fumbles the ball all the time, but like, he would have had a much better job, a much better chance at getting that first down. So again, I would have kicked the field goal and just tie the game up, like rely on your defense. You've been doing well in the second half. It didn't make any sense to me at the time. Doesn't make sense to me now, but Alabama gets the win. Kalen DeBoer gets the win. They've obviously turned things around. We both picked them to win the game. They turned things around from that week 1 debacle. And again, like, I think they use that as motivation. They use it as motivation for the rest of the year. They're not going to forget about week 1, and they definitely better keep that and last year's week after Georgia result in their mind for next week too. So
yeah, I'm going to start there since you just brought it up. We'll start with the Cash Jones 4th and 1. Again, like, if you think that they should have kicked a field goal there, I'm not going to argue with you on it. I understand why you would think that. I personally agreed with them going for it because of with the feel of the game aspect. At that moment in time, Georgia was just running it down Alabama's throat. Georgia had majorly established the line of scrimmage in the second half. Like, I was sitting there saying, like, man, Georgia's dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball now. And with Chauncey Bowens just running off tackle for 20-plus yards over and over again, the dude had 12 carries for 119 yards. He was averaging 9.9 yards per carry, and a bulk of that came there in the second half. So at that moment, Bama is literally sucking wind. They're on their heels. Georgia is, at that point in time, Georgia was punking Alabama at the line of scrimmage and just really imposing their will. So it's 4th and a half a yard. I'm fine with them going for it at that time because of what they were doing to Alabama in the running game at that moment. My problem is I don't understand why they ran like a cutesy run play with Cash Jones, as opposed to just line up and literally look across the line of scrimmage and look at the defense and say, we're coming right here. Do something about it.
They did it the next drive.
Yeah.
They did it the next drive too with that 3rd and 9 play, and he lost 4 yards on a screen pass. It's like, what are we doing with this guy?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And instead, they run some goofy little play with Cash Jones. I mean, you know how this is, though, too. I don't care. This is not one of those situations where if it would have worked, I would have said, whoo, great play. But the fact of the matter is, if you actually look at the replay, if LT Overton for Alabama doesn't make that like diving at his ankle
Yeah.
play, Cash Jones could have done, as my dad would say, the skip to my freaking Lou into the end zone because there wasn't another Alabama player out there because everything was flowing one direction and they sent Cash Jones out the backside or whatever type little deal. But the problem is
Little
with that,
counter. Yeah.
if anybody gets any penetration on that play, it's going to blow up.
But
Yeah.
I'm saying is like if it's Nate Frazier instead, he's got a much better chance to break that tackle or the
Agreed.
speed to get out there a
Yeah,
little bit.
no, I'm with you. I'm with you. But in my opinion, I just line up and say, "Stop me! I'm running over you."
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but moving on from that, I think the two most important plays in the entire game were by Georgia in the second half. That fourth down play, and then the other one. I mean, Ryan Williams did it earlier in the game, but Taylor, the dropped pass on a wide open touchdown that Georgia hit on a deep shot, that it literally looked like the same thing that Ryan Williams did earlier in the game.
We'll call it even.
The what?
So we'll call it even.
Yeah. Well, Bama ended up scoring on their possession.
Yeah.
Georgia didn't. Georgia didn't score on their possession. And they would have obviously taken the lead there if they make that play. If Taylor just catches the routine catch, it's a touchdown, then they take the lead. Who knows what happens after that? But still, like the fact that Alabama kept protecting the lead when it looked like that they just weren't going to be able to anymore. They're getting dudes thrown out for the worst targeting call. Don't care what anybody says. That targeting call was ridiculous. Dude misses the second half, and James Smith, he's going to miss the first half of the next game because he touched somebody with his helmet on their arm. Literally hit him in the arm, bro, in a pile. Just, ugh. Okay. Anyway, another padlock stat for you. Shout out Josh Pate. What did we say that the key to the game was for Alabama to be able to win this game? What did they need to do? What was the number one thing they had to do? What did I say?
I mean, we said a lot. Was it shot plays? I don't know.
No, well, but like number one, offensive line had to protect.
Oh, yeah.
Ty
Give him
Simpson.
time. Yep.
Had to give Ty Simpson time because that dude is as accurate as can be and will dot you up. And Georgia had one sack in the entire game. And they had 4 tackles for a loss total in the entire game. That to me, that's where it starts and ends. And I'll say this for the rest of the year for Alabama. If Alabama gives number 15 time, that wide receiver core is good enough and is really freaking good that they will win. Somebody will win their matchup more times than not when they're going out for a pass and their routes. And Simpson's going to find them if you give him time.
But they're going to have to because they're really, really struggling to run the ball.
Yeah,
this
they
year.
are. They are. But honestly, I don't until somebody shows me different. I don't know who's just going to line up and run it down Kirby Smart's Georgia's throat. That nobody just. You don't see a game where somebody, oh, wow, like Georgia averaged 9.9, running back averaged 9.9 yards against Bama. Like, I don't know, you hardly ever, if ever, see that.
That's the difference between this year. I mean, the last year and this year's Georgia versus like 2021, 2022 is like those teams could stop the run and they could get after the quarterback.
Yep.
This team stops the run, but like they can't get after the quarterback at all. Like,
no, and like Bama's not really good, and either. I mean, neither one of these teams are really good at generating. They don't have that dude. Like Bama doesn't have a Will Anderson or a Dallas Turner that's coming off the edge and getting after the quarterback. And Georgia doesn't have those dudes either. You're right, bro.
I'm really shocked that I did not get any text last night about Ryan Grubb being in his bag. I mean, he's throwing screen laterals to Caden Proctor. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe he didn't score on that play.
Me either. But I don't know if they actually thought about this or not. Me and my dad were talking about this today. Dad was saying that like when they ran that play, it was awesome and fired up. He said he immediately was like, "Please don't fumble, because an offensive lineman's used to like carrying the ball and handling the ball. I thought it was pretty smart too. That like I have no idea if this was even thought into it, but the fact that they threw it to him right against the sideline. Because your best friend at that time is the sideline. Because if somebody does come in and put a helmet on the ball and knock it out, really good chance that it's going to go out of bounds with him up against the sideline.
Who's coming in to put their helmet on the ball on a 360-pounder? They kept highlighting that guy going low on him.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I'm not even. That play was insane. Like just to run, like just the thought of running it is just crazy. But like just, I mean, it was brilliance all night, especially that last drive and,
Yep.
like, the play that they were running. That touchdown play they ran with, like, a little backside, little, like, kinda flat play, um, and then, yeah, the 3rd down to ice the game. Just, like, scheming dudes wide open.
Oh
It was
yeah,
great.
yeah. The pre snap motions, giving Ty a clear picture of like, all right, they're in man or they're in zone type deal. And again, they couldn't get consistent pressure on them. And Kirby after the game literally verbatim said that if you can't get to Simpson, he's going to kill you
Yeah.
with how accurate and how like well he's seeing things.
Yep.
But I don't know what the overall record is. It's been shared all over the internet now again. The thing that was being shared all over the internet a few weeks ago was Kalen DeBoer's buyout, and the thing being shared all over the internet yesterday was Kalen DeBoer's record against top 10 teams and record against ranked teams and
Mhm.
whatnot. That's great. Uh, I'll echo your sentiment a minute ago. Congratulations to Georgia on their 30-something game home winning streak and the fact they haven't lost at home since 2019. Just know that the reason you had that record was just because Alabama hasn't played there since before that. Uh, the last thing I'll say here, Bama, same spot as last year.
Yeah, it's not catching anybody off guard,
No,
though,
I
this
don't
year. Not
disagree.
catching anybody by surprise,
I don't
yeah. Their number
disagree.
plus, it's a ranked team, so DeBoer's fine with that.
Don't disagree. But we talked about the schedule for Alabama, bro, the other day. You and I did. Like, it's unbelievable. They just played Georgia. Now they're about to play Vandy. Then they have to, I think they go on the road to South Carolina. And then they go on the
5 of their
road.
next 6 games are against, top 20 teams.
Right. So,
2 of those on the road.
couple
And
of
that
in,
actually one of those on the road, and the other one's at South Carolina.
Ugh. Yeah, I mean it's murder. It's murder's row coming up here in the next few weeks. But they've done a
They
really
had
good
to
job.
have that one.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed. They really did have to have that one. And it's just again remarkable that you want to talk about everything setting up the right way. Georgia had everything setting up right there for them to beat them at home. And everybody's argument about Kirby Smart not being able to beat Bama is that it's never been in Athens. Well, you got them in Athens and you got them at night. And yeah, it's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a win. Of course I'm going to say this. I think that win is just as good or better, but I probably would agree the circumstances, the Oregon at Penn State and Bama at Georgia, that's the 2 best wins, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, we talked about last year, Alabama having a really good win at home against Georgia, and then Oregon winning at home against Ohio State. So it was different this year. Both teams in these spots, both road teams won. Um, and so, yeah, they're right up there with each other. Georgia now, they've got 1 loss in conference. They got to go to Auburn still, which we'll talk about Auburn in a little bit. They get Ole Miss at home. They get Texas at home, where we've seen they're not unbeatable now. They get Georgia Tech at the end of the year. So, um, still a lot to play for from both these teams. They're not in any danger yet, until one of them gets one more loss. Then you start kind of talking like, oh, you lose a third one. What's going to happen here? So, but yeah, another great game between those two. Elsewhere, let's touch on some other games here. We'll just kind of go chronological on Saturday. Notre Dame finally got a little contribution from their defense, and then, like you said, I mean, they finally realized, hey, putting the ball in Jeremiah Love's hands and Jeremy Price's hands, that's a great idea. They come out with a 56-13 victory over Arkansas in Fayetteville.
And CJ Carr is good, bro. I mean, I know you just said the running backs, and that we already knew they were really good, but CJ Carr is legit.
Mhm.
And for those that just want to sit there that you just hate Notre Dame and you can't get past it, that's fine. I understand. But and you're going to say, well, they got 2 losses. Okay, well, where's Texas A&M and Miami ranked at the moment compared to
Yeah,
some
we got
other
those in the
teams?
top 5.
Right. And if
Top 5 by 4 combined points.
there you go. But CJ Carr is playing his butt off, dude. Like they're going to win a lot of football games, and he's going to be a big reason why. We know that we know the running backs are what they are, but the fact that CJ Carr is as good as he really is as a redshirt freshman, wow. They've got a dude there for the next couple of years. But yeah, I mean, just using Jeremiah Love getting the ball in his hands. Like, even if you can't, like, if you're not having success in the running game, it doesn't make any sense not to get the ball in his hands and let that dude work in the open field. And honestly, there were some points during that game. I actually had a buddy text me and said, Arkansas just doesn't actually even need to send their defense out there. I think it would be better if they didn't. Like, it would be less embarrassing. It's
Yeah.
more embarrassing that they've got 11 guys out there on the field looking the way they're looking. Just don't put anybody out there and go against air.
Yeah.
So you at least have that excuse. Dude, it was unbelievable how awful they were.
Yeah, and on the other side of it, obviously that loss was the one that did Sam Pittman in. He
Yep.
was fired this afternoon, so they're gonna be looking for a replacement down there in Fayetteville. Well, you look at Notre Dame's schedule. I mean, obviously, we talked about it at the beginning of the year. Like those first two games were big, and they didn't win either one of them. So now there's just no margin for error, and so you still look at it, and you've got 0 ranked teams on it. Um, so they've got to win games like this, like at Arkansas. No matter how bad Arkansas is when they fired their coach, you've got to win by 40 points. Like you've got to. Marcus Freeman knows they got to have style points, which is why he kicked off the third quarter when they were up 42-13 with a fake punt. He's like, we got to get some style points here. And we're gonna run up the score here in SEC country.
Yeah, he was doing the old Cobra Kai sweep the leg
Yeah.
during that. But no, I'm with you, man. Yeah, Notre Dame's got to win. They've got to win impressively, look good, all that good stuff. But I mean, I think it is a step in the right direction for the defense, no question. As bad as they did look, I mean, I know they played two really good teams in A&M and Miami, and that both of those teams have really good offensive lines. But the fact that they still, like you said, against Purdue, had the effort that they had on the defensive side, you expect them to do better defensively against Purdue. That's just no stray, sorry, Nick, against Purdue. But yeah, they should have played better defensively in that game. But Taylor Green and a Bobby Petrino offense at home in that spot and that big of a game that Arkansas was fired up for and all that, and you still play that well defensively against that bunch. I'm impressed with that because Taylor Green and Arkansas are going to score, and Bobby Petrino, you're about to find out. Petrino is going to now be the interim coach.
Yeah.
I just think, man, they're going to be trying to get buckets on everybody, and they can't stop anybody anyway. So let's see if we can beat teams 63-60 going forward. But I agree. If you're Notre Dame, got to win straight out. I mean, and really the only team they've got I can think of on their schedule that would maybe catch some people's attention that we're about to talk about now is USC. And as far as Notre Dame's concerned, that result didn't go probably like they wanted it to. The classic college football spot games. They happened all over the place this past week. Nothing more than this one. Illinois goes to Indiana last week and gets their absolute cheeks clapped in Bloomington. 60-something. What was it? 63-10? Is that what it was?
Yeah, 63-10. It was, I mean, this game and another game we'll talk about, bad on our parts for really not like talking, like, we didn't talk about the spot enough. We didn't hype up the home teams enough. We just figured like it was a done deal. We were just way off. I was way off.
Yeah, me too. You know, we both picked USC to win the game in this one. And I mean, they almost did, but like they had to have a lot of help. Illinois had to help them there, like the fumble there late and stuff, and they were about to score to go up and put the game away. They had a couple of other blunders too that helped USC out during that game. Like it was almost like one of those deals. Like, man, this team just is snake bit. They're finding ways to lose, but that was not the case. Old Bert and Billima and the Fighting Illini showed a lot of stones coming off that Indiana embarrassment to beat USC. And let's just call it what it is, bro. USC went from being like dreadful, awful, pathetic, trash on defense to now they're just bad. Now they're just bad on defense.
Yep.
And against the better teams. That's what it seems like it's going to be. Because watching that game, you know, you're just like, I mean, bro, they can't stop hardly anything in this game. And they've got a couple of really good players. USC's got a couple of really good players on D. But overall, collectively as a defense, they're just not there yet, man. They don't have the dudes, it seems like. Maybe I'll eat those words. Maybe they'll get better as the year goes on. But the prisoner of the moment after that game, after watching a lot of that game, it just seems like, again, USC is definitely better than what they were. Again, they went from being the worst defense in the Power Four to now they're just a bad defense. And unfortunately, when you play a good team that's got a good trigger man like Luke Altmaier, who's efficient, who's not going to hand you the game and turn the ball over a lot, you're in trouble defensively.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah, I mean, you wanna know one of the biggest things the biggest differences I see talking about West Coast teams, and, like, we're talking about teams like Oregon and USC, some of these teams that went into the Big Ten and they gotta travel a lot. You watch, the pregame interview with Dan Lanning before they came out, and he was just they were talking about the moment, and he just said, "Yeah, I told my guys to just embrace it. Just embrace the whiteout. Take it as a pleasure of being in this environment. Get to play in this environment. This is what we live for, right?" That's the mentality that Dane Lanning and Oregon have. The mentality that USC and Lincoln Riley have adopted is one of being baby back, you know what's, and just complaining. This midweek interview he did talking about, we didn't choose the schedule. We have to do this late night kick at 11, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Then we get the earliest kick the next Saturday. Just a bunch of complaining. All he does is complain about everything. He doesn't want to play Notre Dame now because it's too tough. It's too tough of a schedule for them to play, right? It's too tough, right? You want to ruin one of the longest intersectional rivalries in college football because it's too tough for you. You want to leave Oklahoma because it's too tough for you, right? You don't want to play in the USC or in the SEC because it's too tough. So I got to go USC where I got to go play in the Pac-12 where I can win Pac-12 championships. Oh, I'm going to the Big Ten. Shoot, what do I got to complain about now? That's all they do, man. That's all he does is complain. And I think it reverberates down into the culture he's created. You go to Illinois and you're a more talented team than Illinois. You have more talent on the field. And you can't get the job done in Champaign after they're coming off a 63-10 loss to Indiana. That's embarrassing. And I would be embarrassed if I was a USC fan.
I may not have said that. I never texted you that Ryan Grubb was in his bag. I'll just say to you right here you were in your bag with that one. I can't really argue with you, man. Can't really argue with you. There's no reason to say anything else about this one. Good stuff.
Let's talk about an old USC coach, huh?
Let's do it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Lane Kiffin and the Rebels got a big W yesterday. They were favored in the game. I think it got up to 2.5. So 5-point victory, 24-19 over Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. I remember back summer we were starting on our SEC predictions, and I mean, I still have LSU. I still have Ole Miss going 9-3, but I had them originally picked in this game, and somebody talked me off of it. And he was like, "Well, you think they're just going to be just as good?" And I don't think he obviously nobody knew who Trinidad Chambliss was at that time, but and I don't think anybody expected the Ole Miss defense to be as good, if not better, than they were last year. Now,
they're not better than what they were last year, but they're much better than what we all thought they were going to be this year.
We got to talk about why they looked really good on Saturday, and that is because the LSU offense might be broken.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know what's going on with it. 256 total yards.
Yeah.
Under 200 yards passing for Nussmeier. 59, and then they can't run the ball. 59 rushing yards.
Yeah.
I really wish the first question in Brian Kelly's press conference would have been, what's up at the running game? And he probably would have flipped out again, but 2.8 yards per carry against an Ole Miss defense that, is not as good as last year, but Arkansas had no trouble moving the ball up and down the field.
Yeah.
On the Ole Miss defense a couple weeks ago. And I know they kicked it into high gear last week against Tulane, but that's again, now the shoe's on the other foot where the LSU defense is really improved. Holding that Ole Miss team to 24 points is really good at home.
Yes, it is.
Now the offense is letting the defense down, which is something I did not think I was going to say at the beginning of the year.
I don't disagree. The reason I thought LSU was going to be one of the best teams in the country is because I preached all offseason that LSU's defense was going to be the most improved unit in all of college football. And right now, they are proving that. But you're right, man. This offense right now looks broken. There's no reason even to question it anymore. Now it's a concern. It's a straight up concern. It's not a question anymore. I don't know. They definitely can't run the ball, like you said. The offensive line's not very good at the moment. I don't know how you improve this going forward. I'm sure that Maybe they find a way with all that talent that they've got on that side of the ball because they've definitely got it. But I'm more so with you on that. I'm tipping the cap to what Ole Miss, with everything they lost, man, on defense, to what that they're able to get out of that side of the ball with how good their offense is. Uh, I mean, if they can put up that type of an effort like they did against Tulane and like they did against LSU this past week and back to back weeks, man, with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. and that offense, the way that it runs, if they play defense like that, they're going to be a problem. You know what's even crazier about this, bro? This isn't even a box score Barry thing. This is something I'm watching the game live, and I'm like while we're recording this, I actually think Ole Miss just got another penalty. Ole Miss had 14 penalties for over 100 yards, and they had 2 turnovers, and they just never really threatened to lose that game. Even
Yeah,
with
the
all
SEC
that.
refs have been a little flag happy this
Bro,
year so
don't even
far.
get me started on SEC refs. Like, I
Yeah.
know Josh Pate did that the other day on his episode. He really highlighted that. I loved it too when he did that because he's right. It's awful. It's an epidemic. I've been watching it for years, and it's finally getting talked about like a ton. And now
Well, they never got talked about because everyone talked about the Pac-12 referees all the
that's
time, and now
true.
the Pac-12 no more.
Yep.
So now it's like, who's the worst referees and it just, I know it's a high level game,
Yep.
especially in the SEC. It's a high level, play,
Yep.
but it's just some of this stuff, man. There's got to be repercussions for it.
I agree. I agree. Just wild too that Ole Miss still almost doubled LSU up in yardage, almost doubled them up in first downs. Trinidad Chambliss, like we talked about, like what was he going to look like against a real defense? He looks solid as can be, man. Some of the throws he's
Yeah.
making out there, ridiculous. So I mean, you look at Ole Miss's schedule, bro. The magic number, until proven otherwise, the magic number's 10-2. I'm still holding strong. The old Braveheart hold. Like I'm still holding strong that I do think there's going to be a 9-3 team that's going to get in this year. I don't know who that's going to be. I'm just saying I think that's going to happen because of
Yeah.
all the carnage that's going to go around the country with all of this like parity and all these teams with all the talent disbursement. But you look at Ole Miss's schedule, 10-2 is absolutely in reach after that W. What a huge win that was for them.
Yeah, and you got to think like every coach takes away something from every season, right? And
Yeah.
you got to think just losing some of those games, they know they shouldn't have lost last year. Lane Kiffin had to have taken something from that LSU game last year,
Yeah.
from the Kentucky game, from the Florida, those are some brutal losses that kept them out of the playoff.
Yep.
And I think they're paying it off this year. So
I-
let's talk about another broken SEC offense. Are we gonna start blaming this offense on Peyton Thorne too? Is that how it works? Is it Peyton Thorne's fault?
You're bringing the
Still?
heat
No?
tonight, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm just checking if it's
Just
Peyton
keep
Thorne's
throwing
fault.
gas, man. Keep the curveball and the changeup in the pocket.
Yeah, so Auburn goes on the road, and defense again is let down by the offense. They scored 10 points in College Station. They lose 16-10. They cover the spread. Good job, guys. They put up 177 total yards of offense, 125 passing, 52 on the ground with 2.2 yards per carry. Big number, 0 for 13 third down conversions.
Yikes.
Like they've got to, I mean, when do they start thinking about change? I mean, we knew going into the season it was probably not a great idea to have 3 different offensive coordinators call plays for your team, but their quarterback, I mean, Jackson Arnold, he looked great against Baylor. Who doesn't look great against Baylor? But when he's faced some real defenses the past couple weeks, I know they were in a tough spot. I mean, you got to do better than 125 passing yards, and you got to convert. I mean, is it too much to ask at least one, third down? Georgia could do that, right? So
Yep.
at least one third down conversion.
Man, you know how many friends I've got that are Auburn grads, Auburn fans and whatnot, dude. My phone was blowing up Saturday for people that just had it. Absolutely had it. Because unfortunately, they're at the end of the Gus Malzahn era. Like anytime they would just have really good success, it was gimmicky, like type stuff.
Yeah.
But like Gus was a head coach that was a quote unquote, offensive wizard, apparently. And his side of the ball was the problem. Kevin Steele's defense was the reason why Auburn was winning games. And people started saying, well, if Malzahn's offense is going to suck, and he's the offensive wizard and guru, he's the one calling the plays, what do we need him for anymore? Obviously, the Harsin thing was just an awful hire. But Freeze calls plays. He's supposedly this offensive wizard. And again, I don't claim to be some X's and O's guru. This is not the podcast for that. But just about everybody that I do trust with X's and O's and stuff are really starting to question this RPO offense that Hugh Freeze is running. And man, it looks awful right now. It looks ugly. A buddy of mine said it best. Bro, I watch so many games every Saturday and every week, and then I watch a bunch of games on Sunday. Nobody has to work harder to get yards than Auburn. Of every game I watch, he's like, dude, I'm watching like Podunk over here playing a game. And I think he told me, he's like, dude, I actually just flipped the TV on this random channel because I was so down and so just lost. I just happened to flip up on a New Mexico game. And I'm watching New Mex's offense just like they look more competent than we do on offense, talking about Auburn. And I got to be honest, man, what I'm watching right now, that looks to be the case. Like, seriously, think about it. The success that Auburn has had, they happened to catch Baylor. They just ran the ball and just ran a bunch of quarterback runs. Okay. Mm-hmm. We all know that's not going to work against a bunch of better teams, better defenses, better athletes. Since then, really the only thing they have success with is just dropping back and just throwing moonshots down the field and hoping Cam Coleman comes down with it. I mean, I don't know. They just seem broken and it's just amazing because they have back-to-back top 8 recruiting classes, really good transfer portal class, and the defense is playing very well. The defense played really well against Oklahoma and played well enough to win that game. Obviously, the defense played well against Texas A&M. Everybody on the planet was talking about how just explosive Texas A&M has been, and that defense held them in check in College Station with A&M coming off a bye. And Auburn couldn't do a dang thing offensively against a defense that up until this point had a ton of problems for A&M. So, I don't know.
What do you do? I mean, do you make a quarterback change? Like, you got a bye week, but then you got Georgia, and then you got Missouri, you got Arkansas. It's like, I mean, you're not going to throw Deuce Knight out there against Georgia, right?
No, you're not going to do that. But it's not. Well, the problem is, I mean, right now their most successful play is when either a deep ball down the sideline or Jackson Arnold uses athleticism and takes off running. Dude, I have no idea where they go from here, but the bye week couldn't come at a better time for them to try to figure something out. And we'll get to that game more later on. But if anybody knows anything about Auburn football,
they're beating Georgia.
They're going to catch Georgia on a Saturday night in that snake pit.
Yeah.
The black voodoo magic will come about that night, and Auburn will all of a sudden find the offense that night. It's just this is how it works, man, down there. Yeah. But right now, I don't blame anybody for. I mean that offense is pathetic at the moment.
Yeah. Friday night, we were treated to a couple of really good games. Number 8, Florida State goes down in overtime to Charlottesville to Virginia, 46-38. Chandler Morris had himself a game. Tommy Castellanos didn't have his best stuff. Threw a couple picks. They had another fumble, 3 turnovers. They forced 3 turnovers. I mean, it was a back and forth game, honestly.
Yeah.
Like UVA went up by 4. Yeah, well, UVA went up by 14. Florida State storms back with 21 unanswered. You think like, okay, hey, this is where they, take control and defense. I mean, again, this is the other side. Defense let them down. Honestly, they put 38 points on the road, and yeah, I mean, I know Chandler Morris is on a roll so far to start this year off. Good win for Tony Elliott. Insane field rush.
Yeah. Has anybody checked to see if Squirrel Wright is still with us?
I think he's still he's in the turf still. Like he's trampled in the turf. So
yeah,
we're checking on him a little bit, but probably a little dangerous. Luckily they had a Saturday, games to overshadow that. Not a lot of people are talking about that anymore, but good one for UVA on that. And then again on Friday night, right after that, we had another treat in the Big 12 out in the desert. Another 3-point game. Who would have thunk it? 27-24 Arizona State over TCU. We just keep picking against Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils every week, and he just keeps making us look like idiots.
Yep, and he does, man. But what I want to say, though, that was everything I wanted it to be between the battle between Sam Leavitt and Josh Hoover, man.
Yeah.
Leavitt is such a dog, dude. seeing him like running the ball too. Hoover, just such a good quarterback. That was everything I wanted it to be on a Friday night, Big 12 after dark game between two just fantastic quarterbacks that I think that we will see one day slinging the pill around a little bit on Sundays. It's two good football teams, man. And again, the way the Big 12 works, I mean, TCU's not out of it. They're a really good football team. Uh, Arizona State just does what good teams do, man. 2 weeks in a row, they found ways to win. They're in the third quarter when TCU looked like they were about to really take a strong, like just a stranglehold of that game. When Hoover threw that slant there in the end zone and it hit the receiver, should have caught it, him right in the freaking hands. Bounces off and lands right into the lap of an Arizona State defender for an interception. Of course, we know how that ends. Arizona State ends up going to score, and now we've got an absolute war on our hands when that happened. Instead of TCU going up, I think it would have been double digits. They would have went up if they would have scored there. But again, Arizona State does what good teams do. They stayed in the fight. They ended up making a game of it. And I'm sure Keenan Dillingham preaches this constantly. Just get us to the fourth quarter within one possession or with the lead. I got Sam Levitt as my quarterback. We're going to find a way to win.
Yeah.
And so far, they're doing that more times than not.
Yep. We're going to touch on Florida State here in a bit. Indiana, Iowa. Iowa did what they needed to do, man. They mucked the game up. They turned it into a street fight. Indiana won that street fight. And that's something they only did once last year when they beat Michigan at home. And coincidentally, it was the same exact score, 20-15. But you thought it was going to be like thought you were going to boat race them again, getting that pick on the first play of the game, scoring within a couple minutes, 7-0, just like that. Iowa, again, props to them. Phil Parker, this was the other game I talked about where me personally, I was like, IU's just going to, and I think you did too, IU's going to be too much for him. And Phil Parker had a plan. He really contained that IU offense until it was 13-13 late. Surratt breaks open over the middle of the field. IU gets the big touchdown. They get the safety at the end of the game, which just was brutal for a lot of people. Brutal for Fernando Mendoza's rushing stats. He lost like 40 yards on that play. So remember that at the end of the year when you're talking about like Heisman, whatever, like he's rushing, minus 40 yards there. Give him 40 yards back. So, but a good win for Cignetti in a letdown spot after that Illinois game, and then before the bye week before Oregon. So a good win for the Hoosiers.
All I'm going to say is, man, I can't imagine what Indiana fans are feeling right now. You come off a 63-10 W like that against Illinois, Illinois was ranked in the top 10 at the time, whether they should have been or not. That's another story for another day. But Iowa, going to Iowa City is a tough deal for a lot of teams in the Big Ten. And Indiana goes on the road now to Iowa and is just expecting to win that game.
Yeah.
And they take care of business, man. It was a tough, hard fought. I didn't get a chance because, I had the birthday festivities going on for the Twins. I didn't get a chance to tweet out my tweet that I told you that I was saying I'm probably going to end up doing this on a Saturday. Welcome to the hell that is known as Iowa football. That is what Iowa and that Phil Parker, and they had Indiana in that torture chamber.
Yep.
They put people in. But Indiana found a way to win. And that was, you're right. I'm not even going to go into it. I'm just going to say that was gross. That safety at the end. I had Indiana -7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have taken the
gross.
push there.
Yeah. Absolutely gross. They have already showed it on the clock that when he was standing on the 20-yard line when it was zeros on the clock, and he still, which again, I know he's not necessarily looking up at the clock. The plan was, hey, just run back and run all the way out of the end zone. Don't look at the clock, whatever. But anyway, Cignetti just doesn't care about the folks that were backing the Hoosiers there at -7.
Nope.
And it probably in his mind, it was like, we're not actually covering anyway, so who cares?
Yeah. All right, let's skip the last one. Let's get to the ATB top 12 for week 6, which we're going to talk about that team just right here.
You want to go odds and evens?
Let's go odds and evens.
All right, you go odds. Go ahead.
All right, let's go odds. Number 1, back on top after this week. They were 1 week off. Ohio State, number 1. Big win in Seattle. 24-6 victory over Washington. I was just more so impressed that, it was expected. We both expected them to go in there and take care of business. Still impressive to go on the road and win like that. and really contained Damon Williams, who was a dual threat. He didn't have a rush over 10 yards all day. Washington didn't do themselves any favors with some of the play calling, the fake field goals. Like, if you're going to go
Yeah.
for it, just go for it with your quarterback who's been pretty solid this year. But the Ohio State defense is for real. They just, again, reloaded. Caden Curry was in the backfield the whole game, it
Yep.
seemed like. Props to Washington defense. They did a decent job bottling up the Ohio State. Julian Saint's a good quarterback. He doesn't have to do much, really. And when he
No,
needs to, he's got Jeremiah Smith to throw to, and Max Clare to throw to. And when he needs to throw, he puts dimes on him, but he's not asked to do much. And that just must be such a nice feeling for an Ohio State quarterback.
yeah, I think he's the real deal. But right now, yeah, with as good as that defense is, just manage the game, bro, and be efficient, which he's doing right now. He's very
Yep.
efficient. His completion percentage is off the charts. Just do that. Don't turn the football over. Be efficient. Let your defense dominate. And when we need you to go make a play, go make a play. But yeah, dude, right now, Ohio State is with the mindset of thou shalt not enter thy end zone. Is on defense. Like, dude, they're
You
red
better
zone.
score. You better score on them outside the red zone,
Yes.
because once you
Yes.
get in the red zone, they're not letting you in there.
They're really not. They lock the what down in the red zone. It's so impressive.
Can I just
What
tell you? Can I just tell you? Because while I have everybody's attention here, I have already placed one bet for the Ohio State Penn State game because I am kind of a degenerate, and that's a November 1st game. And I placed it a couple weeks ago. I was kind of keeping it in the bag, but I don't even know what it's done now. I just went ahead and took the under 48.5 in that game, because, and now I feel even better about it. I don't see Penn State doing hardly anything against this Buckeyes defense in Columbus. And again, the way Ohio State's going about their business on offense, again, they don't need to do much. And
No.
that Texas game was 14-7. They knew they had that in the bag. I could see them winning like a 17-7 type of game against Penn State. Like, I think under 48.5, if you can find it. I found it on FanDuel. So if you can find it, take the under all day.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick there at all.
Early
number
bets, sharps.
Sharp, baby, sharp. All right, at number 2, the Oregon Ducks, the Quack Attack. Like you said, maybe the most impressive win of the season, considering that spot going into the Penn State whiteout at night. Penn State with bringing back their freaking whole team. Oregon with a younger, little inexperienced, but really talented football team going on the road like that in that environment. And then just flat out outplaying Penn State from the opening whistle. Again, that game going into overtime was not as indicative of what that game actually was. We already went over the game, what Oregon did to Penn State overall. Just an incredible win by Dan Lanning and the Ducks. Overall, again, they're just talent on speed, athleticism. The offensive line is legit and really good. Again, Dante Moore, I've seen some out there, some books out there that has him as the Heisman favorite right now. Surprise, surprise. A former 5-star top quarterback in the country is running Will Stein's offense and having a ton of success. It just, again, I think me and you could go play quarterback in Will Stein's offense and we'd be really good. It's just amazing, man, how just one year after the next, that just next man up, and that offense just continues to be fantastic, and all the weapons that they've got. But yeah, Oregon, you look at their schedule, they would have to really work at it at this point not to be a playoff team.
Yeah. Number 3, Miami. They were on bye this week. They had obviously got passed over by a couple of teams who had really impressive wins, impressive notches on their resume. They get a bye this week. They go to Tallahassee, ABC primetime game on Saturday night, and then they get another bye after that. So that's a wild scheduling quirk there for the Hurricanes. But Miami slots in at number 3 right now.
Number 4, Texas A&M. Texas A&M had that. I don't care what anybody says. Texas A&M's really impressive win on the road at Notre Dame at night, and the Golden Dome was a very impressive win. And then they beat another P4 team that's very solid in Auburn, really good on defense, not very good on offense. But you alluded to it earlier this year, like some of the teams that A&M was beating, like Utah State, for example, that's still better competition than playing some D2 school or FCS school or whatever like that, like some of these other teams do. But I am impressed with the fact that I know Auburn's offense isn't very good, but A&M's defense did play better than what they've played and what they've shown
Yeah.
so far this year. I'm sure a lot of that had to do with the Auburn offense, but still, they did play better and play well, so I'm going to give them credit for that. Marcel Reed did not play well and did not have his better game, and they still found a way to win.
Yeah.
In the past, I'm sure our boys at 3 Tech would agree with what I'm about to say here. That's the type of game that in the past A&M found ways to lose.
Yeah.
And they found a way to win it.
Yeah, props to them on that. Marcel Reed still has to play better for them to win some games down the stretch, in my
Agreed.
opinion. So,
Agreed.
number 5, we got Oklahoma. They were on bye this week. Brutal news came out. John Mateer is going to miss about a month with a broken hand. Hoping he gets. He's going to miss Red River, but that's a real bummer for him, and that's a real bummer for that game. And obviously, Texas is lucking out again. Hopefully, he comes back as quick as he can because it's super fun to watch him. But we still got Oklahoma at number 5. We'll see what happens with him as old boy from last year. Was it Michael Williams? Right?
Michael Hawkins.
Michael Hawkins comes in. Yeah. I don't know his name. Michael Hawkins comes in for quarterback for the Sooners. So,
hey, we're going to find out now about Ben Arbuckle, too.
Mm-hmm.
How much he's going to earn his money with this because now he doesn't have John Mateer and he doesn't have Cam Ward at quarterback. So we're going to find out now more about Ben Arbuckle and how good he really is as an OC. Number 6, the biggest jump, I would assume, in our polls here. And we don't look at last week. We do this every week. We go different. We kind of wipe the slate clean every single week. So at number 6, we've got Ole Miss. Ole Miss with a very impressive win in the Magnolia Bowl over LSU. Again, the defense for Ole Miss, we did not expect, nobody expected Ole Miss's defense to be playing as well as it has played the last 2 weeks against Tulane and against LSU. And we know Lane Kiffin's offense is going to be really good. Trinidad Chambliss is, again, he's just going to, the more reps he gets and the more reps he gets at this level, he's probably only going to continue to get better. But, Ole Miss right now, you look at their schedule, like I said it a minute ago, 10-2 is absolutely very attainable and very reachable. So they are now 100% a college football playoff threat.
Yeah, we wipe the slate clean, but we, obviously we just keep accumulating those data points for each team. So they've got some really impressive wins on their schedule so far. 3-0 in conference already too. So really big leg up for Ole Miss to get to Atlanta in December. Number 7, Indiana. We talked about them and their win over Iowa. Now they get 2 weeks off to prepare for a long West Coast trip to Eugene to play in Autzen. Oregon gets a bye too. So no real scheduling advantage there, but I like Siggs and Shanahan and Haynes all with 2 weeks to prepare. Reminds me a lot. We were talking about DeBoer and Grubb with a bye week with extra time to prepare. Now, again, I like Lanning and those guys too. So that should be a really fun matchup in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait to see what Mendoza and that offense looks like against that Oregon defense. That's going to be a lot of fun, and vice versa. That you're right. The coordinator matchups in that game and both sides of the ball, that's going to be fantastic. And number 8, Vanderbilt. Vandy coming in at number 8. And all they did was just blow the doors off somebody again, and Diego Pavia just throwing tons of touchdowns, and they're just scoring a ton of points. Just again, incredible seeing what Vandy is doing. I don't care who it's against. We've never seen Vandy do what they're doing to some of these teams right now. They're just blowing people out. It's just remarkable. And for anybody that wants to look at this and say that we've got Vandy too high, or I can't believe you've got Vandy this high, I'll just say what we've said before. Put a Texas uniform on them, or put, wingtip helmets and put a Michigan uniform on them, whatever. Name whatever team you want to name. You would have them this high if that were the case. Yeah. So, we got Vandy at number 8.
Number 9, we got Texas Tech. They were on a bye as well. I'm getting all the bye teams here. So they were on a bye as well. Texas Tech goes to Houston this week. So that should be a good one down in H-Town.
Yeah, that game, dude, might be like Houston had a really big scare Friday night on the road against the Beavs.
Yeah.
And that might be the biggest home game that Houston's had, and I can't remember. Long, long, long
Mhm,
time.
mhm.
Uh, at number 10, we've got Bama. And Alabama coming off their big win on the road in Athens against Georgia. Again, depending on which way you look at it, if you want to say that the Oregon win at Penn State's the most impressive win of the season, Bama going on the road and beating Georgia at night like that in Athens, who hadn't lost a game since 2019. Uh, and you just why you keep laughing? I can't even finish
I'm
this.
just waiting for number 11.
I know, man. I know. And Ty Simpson just playing as well as he played. But with what Bama's got coming ahead of him, I agree with what you said earlier. They really had to have that game, bro, with what Bama's got left on their schedule. Just a huge, huge, huge confidence booster that they could go on the road and get a game like that. All right, go ahead, give them number 11, since we're probably the only people brave enough to actually have these teams like this close, like one after the other, because I haven't seen another poll anywhere, anybody's rankings anywhere, to have these two teams right up against each other.
It wasn't by design. I swear we're not playing for clicks, anything like that. We're not here to watch the world burn. But at number 11, we have Florida State. And obviously they took an L. They took an L on Friday night. We got a couple other teams in this on this top 12 who've already taken L's. Coincidentally, to other teams on this list. We won't mention that. But yeah, so we got Florida State number 11. I know the AP has them number 18. They really punished them for losing that game in overtime on Friday night. And I know a lot of other teams jumped ahead of them. Ole Miss jumped ahead of them.
Mhm.
Alabama jumped ahead of them. So we've got number 11, Florida State. There's really not much else to say about that, unless you want to add some stuff.
Well, I don't know if you're going to be really mad at me for what I'm about to say, or if you're just going to be like, they're just so proud of me. Like it's going to really touch your heart from what I'm about to say. Because I'm about to talk about metrics, Tyler.
Okay, I love it. I love
Yeah, I
metric.
mean, yeah, you love it, but then
You're
you're
my
going to. I
nerd.
already
Come
know it.
on,
Later on
name.
this year, you're going to say, yeah.
Okay, tell me about the metrics.
I mean, Bama's got a much better strength of record and a better strength of schedule by the numbers right now.
I mean, they got a better strength of record by 10 spots. Okay.
Right. But I mean, still, it's better. And they've got a better strength of schedule right now. I'm hilarious that you put this. You were waiting for me to bring up metrics.
Just wondering if anybody remembers what happened on August 30th. Or we just
Oh,
kind of
I'm
like
sure.
and I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot.
Okay. I know you're going to say it. And I will say, and I'll admit it. If I'm a look, if I was a Florida State fan listening to this right now, I'd be losing my mind. But my question to you on that is, what are your thoughts on them being ranked 18th in other people's polls?
Yeah, I think that's way low. Way too
Okay,
low.
and I'm not trying to deflect. Well, actually, I might be trying to deflect of what we've got them right here. But in all seriousness, I thought that was the second most egregious thing of the AP poll.
Penn State was number
No,
1.
Penn State was the most egregious, but then them dropping Florida State as far as they did, I thought was the most egregious. They should not be all the way down at 18. They should be higher than what they are. They got punished way too much for that loss against, again, a team that I actually think is a pretty solid little team in UVA. But yeah, we've got Bama at 10 and Florida State at 11. If you want to scream and holler, that's fine. You go right ahead. But for those that, like, I'm the last thing on this, we do not plan it this way. Tyler does his top 12. I do my top 12, and we kind of go all the way to 15 because sometimes we have teams like this at the back end of the rankings that one of us may not have in the top 12 and the other one does. And we literally just take the average of our two rankings, and that's where we slot them in. And it just so happened that where I had Florida State personally, and you had Florida State personally, and where I had Alabama personally, and you did, that literally the average was Alabama at 10 and Florida State at 11. And I'll admit it, before we got on here, I said, dude, we sure we want to do this? I said, the AP can just look at how they did it. They've got them separated so much that like nobody's going to care.
Uh-huh.
But when we release our graphic, and it's going to have that Alabama logo and then the Florida State one right behind it, yeah, people are going to be real bent out of shape. That's fine. We're tough. We got thick skin. Shout out Mike Gundy. I'm a man. I'm 36. Yeah, we can take it. All right. I don't even know where we're at. 12,
12.
Georgia. Yeah, 12, the Georgia Bulldogs. Obviously, their loss, they just took to Alabama, but they still got a really impressive win on the road in Knoxville at Tennessee. I mean, again, that loss to Alabama, it's not like Georgia lost to some bum or something. That was a heck of a game. Like you said, they've got some really good games coming up still this year. Texas at home, Ole Miss at home. We all know the Kirby Smart's Georgia team will be in the thick of it. It'll just be interesting to see in 2 weeks when they head to Jordan-Hare at night and catch Auburn, who's going to be coming off a bye. I think Georgia gets Kentucky this week, if I'm not
Yep,
mistaken.
they do.
So they've got the old get right game. I know Kentucky, for whatever reason, kind of gives them a little trouble every now and then. I expect them to take care of business against Kentucky, and then that sets up the night game in Jordan-Hare in 2 weeks.
All right, reactions to the AP poll. USC and TCU drop out. Couple 2 to 3 point losses there. Arizona State jumps back into number 25. UVA jumps into number 24. So some of the fallers here, Miami dropped from 2 to 3. Just, we talked about it. They dropped in our poll too, but that's because Oregon jumped ahead of them. Penn State, again, we talked about them. They were favored at home in a whiteout game, team traveling 3 time zones, and they lose in overtime. They drop 4 spots. Okay, at a home loss, 4 spots. Georgia favored at home, same spot, and losing by 3, drops 7 spots. LSU goes on the road as underdogs, and 2.5 point underdogs, loses by 5 and drops 9 spots. And Florida State was the other big dropper. They dropped 10 spots for losing in overtime on the road. So I don't know what it is about the AP poll and the hardo they have for Penn State. But I don't see it. I don't see it with Penn State. We talked about that.
Never mind. You probably don't have Penn State's schedule in front of me. Say, what's Penn State's best win right now? Like Villanova?
You have FCS champ Villanova. Nevada, FIU by 35 and 34.
Yeah. Okay. Just
sure. They didn't even cover those games, so if that matters to you. Couple big jumpers. Oregon jumped up 4 spots with their win. Ole Miss jumped up 9 spots by taking care of business at home. Alabama jumped up 7 spots to number 10. And obviously UVA jumped in there. So Illinois jumped up 1 spot by beating a ranked team at home. That was kind of interesting. And I know that obviously 63-10 still in the mind of all the voters, sure. BYU, another impressive team, dude. Like Kalani Sitake just keeps getting it done every single year. I know that, Colorado's not what they were yet last year, but they were favored to win that game. They went on the road. They took care of business in Boulder. So
defense is nasty.
Yeah.
Defense is nasty.
Yeah, so that's it for the 8 people. Any reactions to that?
No, like I said, I just my main one was the Florida State dropping as much as they did, and Penn State just not dropping more when they finally played somebody. And it's just it's painfully okay. Yeah, I do got something to say. It's painfully obvious, bro. Like everybody, I'm just kind of glad that it's finally come to light. More people now are talking about it. I'm sure it's because like the Josh Pates and those people are like just really harping on it that these people don't watch the games, bro. They don't watch the games. 90% of the people that voted, all they did was just see that so-and-so lost in overtime. That's all they saw. They didn't see the game. They didn't see the fact that Oregon doubled them up and like we were talking about and how much dominant Oregon was almost the entire game against them. And that, they didn't see any of that. So therein lies the problem. And the coaches poll too, dude. I know everybody talks about how the BCS, we shouldn't, it was great. We should have never went away with it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't like the coaches poll and the AP poll, wasn't they both factored in to like?
Yeah, they were like weighted lightly, I think, in there. And Georgia's still ahead of Alabama in the coaches poll, by the way.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah. Whatever.
And I know they do this. They do the same thing. They average out the rankings, right? And we're going to put out our all podcasters poll here, I think, on Monday or Tuesday. We've got like quite a few like shows, like separate people from different regions, and like we're getting as many people as we can to do that. to kind of like mimic the AP poll, and so just to kind of get more averages and more totals. And so it's I know that's how the AP poll does it, and that's how the coaches do it. And I know a lot of times coaches just have the SID fill out the ballot form, whatever. But you know, we've got to if you're going to look if the committee's going to look at these polls, and they do, they look at them going up to November 7th or whenever that first day is that they do their own ranking. They can say all they want. They'll start from scratch, but that's in the back of their minds when they're looking at these games and they're saying, "Oh, Penn State's number 7 now." Like, "Oh, wow!" Like, "Oh, Indiana, for instance, Indiana went on they beat number 7 Penn State." Like, should they have been number 7? Like, I know they're a great win for Indiana, but like, I'm not gonna if Indiana beats Penn State, I have them ranked like 16th or 17th. Like, I just that's where it affects the voters in my mind, and it stinks.
Agreed. I have nothing to add to that. I agree 100%.
All right. Guess the spread. I got a handful of games here. It's a light week for week 6, so we're gonna dig into it later on in the week. But it's a light week, so I got a handful, literally 5 games. Last week I had like 15. So let's start off with a little spot game. I don't know if it's a spot game you and I were kind of eyeing at the beginning of the episode, but Illinois going on the road at Purdue.
It's not the game I was thinking of, but Illinois at Purdue.
And they got Ohio State coming into town next week. And you remember this game last year?
Yep.
50-49. Purdue almost came back. That was almost a huge win for Purdue to get them up to 2 wins last year.
Yeah, and Purdue and our boy Nick is like, my Boilers are taking some strays on this show tonight.
Yeah.
I will say Illinois 10.
Barry Odom's got the boys rolling. He's got the respect of the people. It's at 8.5.
Okay.
So watch out. It might be a game I'm eyeing later in the year or later.
Purdue,
in the week.
is Purdue off a bye?
Purdue is off a bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How about Clemson at UNC?
Clemson. I mean, heck, there were 17 at home against Syracuse. 17 at North Carolina.
Clemson 13.5.
Don't tell me that. I'm gonna end up falling into a trap trying to take Clemson again.
That's what Guess the Spread is designed to do. It's designed to lead you towards your bets.
Dabo Sweeney's last stand. Here we go.
Dabo's last stand. All right. Texas at Florida. Billy Napier's last stand.
Exactly. I was going to say Billy Napier's last stand. Literally. I'll say Texas minus 7.5.
Texas minus 7 on the road in Gainesville. Big test for Arch Manning against that defense.
It is. Florida's defense is legit. Everybody wants to make fun of Billy Napier and Florida all they want. You can't make fun of that Florida defense. That Florida defense can play.
Okay.
And I'm sure they're going to have some dudes back, too, from injury that they've missed in the last few weeks.
Yeah, both teams coming off buys. So,
yeah.
All right, one you probably peeked at, but Vanderbilt at Alabama.
I did peek at it. I'm going to this game next week. Your boy here will be at the game. Saw College Game Day is going to be at this one.
Just like everybody. It's College Game Day is going to be there?
Yeah, College Game Day is going to be in Tuscaloosa for Vandy, Alabama. They're not going to Florida State, Miami.
Wow. When you peeked at it earlier, what was it at?
It was 10.5. Bama 10.5 when I picked it earlier.
Okay, it's still 10.5. When I opened my app up this morning, like earlier this morning to look at lines, it was 14.
Really?
And so it's down to 10.5.
So Diego Pavia Vandy money
got the money.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So the game day's not going to, but the primetime game on ABC, Miami at Florida State. One of the greatest rivalries out there.
I'll say Miami's minus 3.5.
Miami minus 5.5.
Ooh.
Bounce back game for Florida State, but Miami's coming off a bye. Which way are you going to lean?
Yeah, that's
Don't answer that now.
Great football game. I'm not.
Yeah.
Great football game. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
That's
it. I've got no early bets. Haven't really looked at it. I was locked into the Ryder Cup today, so no early bets. You got anything early? Anything you're looking at?
What is the line? Because I can't look at them, so I never have any early bets. So I got to ask you, what is the line on Louisville, Virginia?
Ooh, I did look at that one.
That's
what do you think the line is on Louisville, Virginia?
I think the line is Louisville 7.5.
Louisville minus 6.5.
I'll take Louisville minus 6.5 as my first best bet of the week. Now that it's
It's
under a
that it's the classic team sneaks. They finally get over the hump. They get in that top 25. They back in, go
Yep.
on the road, and just get obliterated.
Yep. And Louisville's really good at home. Just as a spot game, I got to take a shot at, man. Just got to take a shot at that for all the reasons you just said. And like UVA storms the field, just yeah, I'm gonna take a
Yep.
shot at last week. My first bet of the week on a Sunday, just like
Yep.
the episode I gave out K State against UCF, and K State took care of business and spanked UCF. So yeah, I think Louisville at home is going to take care of business against UVA. And again, at 6.5, that game can be a fantastic game and be an absolute war. And Louisville win the game by 7, and it's a cover. So yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
Louisville minus 6.5 as my first best bet of the week, and the only one I'm giving out tonight.
I like it, man. I'll probably be on that with you too. So that's it for us. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back later in the week. Probably just do one episode this week. It's a little lighter week. Excuse me. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. Follow us on X, Instagram, and TikTok as usual. For Lance Barton, I'm Tyler Nohe. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.